Good morning, traders. This is Tony D from easyMarkets in Sydney. We've had a third day of heavy US dollar rally overnight. I faded a little bit in towards the end of the day as traders got a little bit skeptical towards this new tax plan that Trump has introduced. But the backdrop is that the chances of the December rate hike are now up to 80%. And there is a small chance that the tax plan can get some traction. And even a small chance at these levels, the US dollar is extremely undervalued if that was to get through at all. The deal that they're looking at is a 20% corporate tax, 35% top earning individual tax. Really quite aggressive in terms of what it will do for the economy, major stimulus boost, and for the companies, obviously the earnings and the share price will go through the roof if such a thing came through. In the short term though, the market is a little bit skeptical of how far we'll get into this debate, given that a lot of these promises are unfunded. There was very little detail given in the speech or in the release as well. Democrats have already come out in opposition against it, and you did see a little bit of buy the rumor, sell the fact after the announcement with the US dollar, US stock market immediately reversing when the details were given. But it didn't really fall too far. So, in terms of the outlook for the US dollar, we're still in the rebound. It hasn't been derailed. It's just had a little bit of a pause. So what would that mean for the euro? Well, the euro actually bounced off a key support level, which was the previous high from back in 2015. The 117.20 level has has now turned into a support after originally being a resistance. So if you look back on a weekly chart, sometimes you can see why these levels come back into play. So this level here is a high in 2015, and then we bounced off it last night. It was the first level that traders were looking at in this correction in the euro. In terms of if that's going to be enough to slow down the euro, the market's focused still on the US dollar, so perhaps we do have room to move to the downside. The US dollar index does have room to move still to the top side. Dollar yen still has room to move to the top side. And the pound as well has a little bit of more room to move for its correction. So the euro dollar, while the story is good, maybe a little too early to call the bottom in just yet. And the next big level under that is the 2016 high, which is the 116.20 level. So if you look back, the next little higher there, that's the 116.20. That could be the next big support, and that's really where the bull's probably going to make their big stand if that 117.20 level goes in the next 24 48 hours. Traders will be looking forward towards the US NFP next week. This is going to be critical to the numbers, to the chances of the Fed raising in December. A lot of differing Fed speak last night. 4 members spoke, which is quite a large number for one day. A couple of them were talking up the chances of raising rates even in a low inflation environment. And a couple of the doves, though, were saying that inflation is too low and they're not sure why it's so low, and it's better to remain on hold for now. So a little bit mixed, but the end result is that the chances of December is still very high. Looking forward in terms of today and the rest of the week, there is some big key speeches coming from Carney and Draghi tomorrow night. We did have the RBNZ this morning, very neutral, very timid affair. The biggest volatility in commodity currencies came from Governor Pelosi last night, where he surprised the market by saying the next move for the Canadian dollar is he's not sure which way that will be. I don't know why he would say such a thing, but he was definitely that took the wind out of the Canadian dollar, and expectations for rate hikes this year have been a little bit more subdued now, given that statement, and given some of the other news that we've seen come through overnight regarding a burgeoning trade spat between Canada and US. It is likely that this could be another pause for thought. What will happen there with US placing tariffs on Bombardier? That could be a big story if it develops in retaliation from Canada. And the NAFTA sort of negotiations are ongoing right now between America, Canada, and Mexico. Alright, so there is a fair bit going on in the markets. If you do want to have a bit more of a deep conversation or look at your favorite pair, come through the dealing room, ask the dealers. If you're not a member of the easyMarkets dealing room, you want to gain access here, you do have to click in the link below. You'll see there's Active Traders Group. We'll actually teach you a course there on how we look at the markets, how we trade technically, and then you get the fundamental color on top of that to try and get you the right entries and make sure you're on the right side of the market. Alright guys, best of luck, we'll be back tomorrow.